All right, good morning or good afternoon, whatever time you guys are listening to this. Welcome back to another episode of the Layman's AI podcast. I am Adam.
And my name is Brian.
And we want to welcome you guys back to the final part of our three-part series where we take a look at the White House's plan for the AI introduction into the United States. So basically, if just a recap, there's three pillars in the White House's plan for AI for the United States. And we've taken a look already, dove into pillars one and two. And tonight we're going to be diving into pillar three, which is a little bit more of how this is going to work internationally as opposed to domestically. So it's definitely going to be a little bit different. I'll admit, on Brian and I's behalf, we may not know as much of the components of Pillar 3 as we did Pillars 1 and 2, but
Mhm.
nevertheless, we said we would deliver it for you. We're going to talk about the what ifs. Brian, before we even get started into anything specific, how would you summarize Pillar 3 for our listeners?
Well, Pillar Three, this is basically international diplomacy,
Hmm.
essentially is like clearly laid out in Pillar Three. I'll summarize it, right away. This just sounds like open challenge to our biggest rival, tech rival right now, which is China.
Uh-huh.
I don't think there's any, this is not saying anything anybody doesn't already know. The US and China are
Right.
main rivals in the tech space. Let's just like
Yeah.
blatantly state it. And it's not all bad, I would say. But there is, a bad aspect to the whole thing with national security and everything. But
Hmm.
this is going more towards, declaring our position against China essentially is what this is. So we're
Hmm.
not gonna kind of, you know, beat around the bush, so to say. I would kind of use
Yeah.
those terms, but
And
yeah,
okay, you and I were talking beforehand about we were saying no matter who was in office, a Democrat or Republican, you're going to have to acknowledge that China's a rival with AI,
yeah,
and
yeah.
this is not necessarily even though there's a Republican in the office, this isn't necessarily a Republican heavy theme for this international diplomacy. You have to recognize no matter
hmm
who's in office, this is a thing. It's not going anywhere, as we've said, and it's realistic. So I feel like no matter who was in office, we'd be seeing something like this.
Yeah, that's, basically what it is. Some competition can be healthy for innovation as well.
Hmm.
If competition breeds innovation, I think that's a old saying, or I might have just made that up. But, this, like, it can't all be bad. I know a
No,
lot of
you're right.
people have this, like, deep anger towards China, like they're our enemy and everything, but it's not always going to be bad. And,
Hmm.
we have to stay competitive with them. And I don't have a problem with it, staying competitive. And like you said,
Right.
like Democrat, Republican, Independent, Blue Party, Green Party,
Hmm.
Orange Party, whatever. It's gonna have to keep us at the forefront of everything. But going into the first point here, we kind
Oh,
of have
Brian,
these bullet points.
we've got to mention one thing though. We just
Yes,
want to remind everybody that Google Gemini did the summaries for us on these bullet points.
yes.
So even though Brian and I read through the report, we want to make sure we're transparent and tell everybody that Gemini is the one that summarized these for us. So we are taking their words when we read you the initial summary.
Yes, we promote transparency. AI transparency is what we like to promote here, and I think that's a big first step. But yes, it did summarize each of these bullet points right here. So, first bullet point, export American AI, promote the export of full American AI technology stack to allies and partners to build a global alliance. Um, yeah, I think we all know who our allies are.
Yeah, it's
Everything and
been that way for since the year 2000, it seems.
yes.
I will say I wasn't surprised to hear that. I do think we are one of the leaders in AI as well as China. And I'm pretty confident that our allies want to use our AI devices. There is one part of me that thinks, do we want to outsource it for the sake of national security, or do we want to outsource it to get data? And then I'm thinking it's the answer's got to be both. But
Yeah, that has to be the big thing. Like data is kind of the hidden gold mine right now.
mhm,
National security, alliances help with that a lot. We can't
yes.
really deny that at all. And who we want to sh it's kind of who we want to share our technology with, essentially. I think
Hmm.
that's where we're going for. And a global alliance, it's going to take a lot of diplomacy, because China's kind of sneaking in and be like, "Hey, do you want to ally with America, or you want to ally with us?" And there's a lot of countries that previously or up to this point don't really care.
Hmm.
You can't really name all the countries. I think people can kind of go through what they feel, but a lot of them just don't even care. And now it's like, okay, if we're gonna join the AI race or be part of the AI race, who do we want to ally ourselves with? So I think that's kind of like a focus right there as well.
I agree. I do find it interesting though. What would it look like if somehow the American AI devices did stay ahead for the general usage, did stay ahead of Chinese? Is it possible to get things like ChatGPT, Google Gemini going in China like they are in the United States? I have a feeling the Chinese government wouldn't allow that, but again, I don't know enough and
Yeah, from what I hear, they're getting into their tech industry is very, very difficult.
had a feeling.
I would have to consult uh someone in a more diplomatic stance than either of us. I don't want to speak too much as to, any of the specifics or anything because I don't know a whole lot, but there
Yeah,
is a
and
lot of government control with their technology, from what I understand.
yes, and from I will share with the whole audience that's listening to us. I am by no means an expert in China.
Hmm.
I am not. I obviously pay attention to it because they are producing some very powerful AI devices, and obviously I pay attention because China is a competitor of the United States, and there are some things they do very well, and there's some things we do better. But with that said, I am by
Uh-huh.
no means an expert. I'm just trying to think of things for conversation purposes in this podcast. So,
Yes, yes, exactly. And kind of one thing about this point, recommended policy actions. I'm reading this directly from the action plan.
mhm.
Establish operation program within DOC. I believe that's the Department of Commerce, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
And once consortia are selected by DOC, Economic Diplomacy Action Group, U.S. Trade and Development Agency, the Export-Import Bank, the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation, and the Department of State should coordinate with the DOC. There are a lot of agencies
Yeah,
involved in this. Like, there has to be a way
yeah.
we can kind of like whittle this down a little bit. And I know this is kind of what we thought Doge was going to do. Whether or not that actually happened, we're going to leave that for another podcast. But there seems to be a lot of agencies right here. I have a feeling we can streamline some of these agencies,
You have a
which
good point
I
on that.
kind of a point I found a little interesting. And then like I said, we're like we have promised we would try to stay as apolitical as possible
Yes.
within the show. We're trying to present a political action in an apolitical stance. So it's kind
Yeah.
of very very difficult. Like we can't go into too many of our opinions or details either,
All
but we're
right.
trying to
We're treading lightly. I think we're personally, I think we're
yeah.
doing a good job on that.
I I I,
But
I think so, but like that was kind of one thing on the first bullet point. Second bullet point, gonna go through here. Counter Chinese influence, advocate for international AI governance approaches that reflect American values and counter authoritarian influence in global bodies. They could have named Pillar 3 this whole thing, in my
I
opinion.
feel like they could have said that too. Basically, they could have said, "Don't use deep seek."
Yeah, that
Don't.
basically. Yeah, so yeah, talk about cooperation and development, G7, G20, et cetera, International Telecommunication Union. Once again, I'm reading this directly from the action plan.
Mhm.
United States, like-minded nations. Th this is basically the same thing as the first bullet point, in my opinion.
It is. It's just very specific, which actually, I mean, I kind of wish they'd went with that was the first point to really say like we're going to counter Chinese influence. But I mean, to the idea of exporting American AI is popular for I like the idea of it, of
Hmm.
exporting American AI, but frankly, the countering Chinese influence, it is a big deal. And I'm wondering, is this just limited to AI? Because you and I have discussed, we do know that we do have that powerful TikTok, and
Hmm.
it is a very addictive platform. And
Yeah.
I know it's not being the algorithm in the United States is not the same algorithm that they use in China for it. We've
Hmm.
seen many shows, podcasts, examples of articles where for children using it in China, it is much more scientific and pro-nationalism, whereas with us, it's much more pop culture and kind of influencing you one way or
Yeah.
the other. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of interesting thing. We have some short form video clips of all our podcasts
Yep.
that I've been making, and we're unpopular on TikTok. We have like almost no views on TikTok, which
See,
I don't know if that's just we're not the audience or what.
are you losing any sleep over that?
I'm not losing any sleep over it. It's just
No.
I think we post all the short form just to get our ideas out there, see who sticks. But we're the least popular. Not saying that we're popular, but
Yeah.
that's kind of something I found
We're not popular,
interesting.
but Brian, we did monetize recently and we've made some money off of that. So
Yeah, and
uh,
we officially can split our revenue. That is a milestone. That is a big milestone.
we are happy to announce we have made 2 cents
Yes,
in our endeavor, so we can now split that one
exactly.
penny a piece. Uh,
Exactly.
yeah,
But
so
yeah, we're kind of getting off topic, but
we
yeah,
are, but
we're
I
having
still
a
want to
little bit
thank
of
the
fun.
listeners.
Yes, thank you all. So next bullet point, export control enforcement.
Right.
Strengthen the enforcement of export controls on advanced AI compute to deny access to foreign adversaries. Once again, a shout out to China,
Yeah.
in
I
my opinion.
I've got to say, when I read this section of it, I didn't need to reread it, but I really was glad Gemini had done the summary for me because this one,
Hmm.
this particular section almost seemed like it was beating around the bush a little bit to me, and then finally Gemini summarizes it. So
Hmm.
basically, it's deny access to China if they're trying to access any AI stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of digging over it, they're talking about export control enforcement and everything. Da, 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 da. Yeah, AI to compute full coverage possible. Sorry, I'm kind of mumbling at the moment here, but yeah, this just seems like basically the same thing with just more
Yeah,
words, to be honest with you, which I guess that's basically politics.
I think
Um,
so.
yeah, and then which I guess would kind of bring us to our next point here
Yep.
would be to close loopholes,
Right.
which again sounds kind of like the same bullet point. Address gaps in existing semiconductor manufacturing export controls to prevent adversaries from using U.S. innovations.
Right.
Um, yeah, semiconductors are a big hot topic right now.
Absolutely. And I
Everything.
love the tie back to Pillar 2 on that one. That one seemed a little more domestic, which if you guys recall listening, Pillar 2, the domestic production of semiconductors is very big in this plan. And
Mhm.
we noted that we thought it was big also because we do think AI is going to cause some massive unemployment in the next 5 to 10 years. And perhaps producing semiconductors could be a field people might be able to go into. And here it is now in
Mhm.
Pillar 3. So I believe semiconductors definitely mentioned in Pillar 2. I believe there was mention of them in Pillar 1. And now it's
Yeah.
if that's the case, we're talking 3 pillars of semiconductor production
Well, I
domestically.
mean, that is kind of a big one too.
Yeah.
Semiconductor manufacturing and production is basically at the heart of our technology and computing technology and AI technology, therefore, and better semiconductors, better processors, better you can use different sort of AI applications, data centers, etc. And a lot of semiconductors are produced outside of the US, which
Hmm.
can create some issues. I think it's very bipartisan. People would love to see it built more in the U.S.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
think so.
anybody would have a real problem with that. I mean, again, we've said this before, no matter what political party you are, if something's made in America by Americans for Americans, I feel like people are likely to support it regardless of political parties because you're only
Yeah.
supporting your neighbors, you're only supporting,
Hmm.
Americans who are looking for jobs. And let's be realistic, this AI thing, it is the next space race. It
Hmm.
is, it's no longer us in the Soviet Union, it is us in China. And it is going to be who can innovate the fastest, who can stay ahead the fastest, and this is a race you really want to win because now it's not necessarily war, but it could be economic. Who's going to be the leading economy calling the shots. Uh,
Yeah.
Ideally, we'd all like to get along, but let's just be realistic. That's just not going to happen in the
Yeah, not
course of
gonna
human
happen.
history. It's not going to happen. Uh,
Unfortunately,
uh,
yeah. But
yeah.
yeah, like the semiconductor manufacturing, and manufacturing in general, supply chains and everything. Everybody knows made in China, made in Vietnam, made in
Hmm.
uh any other country really. But it's very complex. The production lines, manufacturing and like all the supply chains and everything, it's a very complex web.
Hmm.
And this includes semiconductors. It is like it's no one wide brushstroke that's going to fix this or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's going to take many, many moving parts. It's going to take many, many people, many layers of diplomacy, multiple, honestly, multiple presidencies it's going to take.
Yes,
So
it is.
this is there is no quick fix to this.
And then, so my question for the layman is, okay, so we made the semiconductors. Where do they go?
Everywhere.
Like, what's the next step after that? Do they go to these
Yes.
massive data centers that they're talking about building? I mean, where do they go to regular components outside of AI as well? I mean, my
Hmm.
thought is they probably go everywhere. And
Yeah.
if semiconductors, in addition to that, for America's future, data centers are going to be just as big, in my opinion. Where are they housed?
They're
How
growing.
are they done? How do we provide energy grid, which is another thing brought up in one of the pillars? How do we have the energy grid to make sure that these data
Yeah,
centers
that
can operate well?
yeah, I
Uh,
believe that's where we promoted nuclear as a clean energy source and a reliable energy source.
yes, yes.
Like to everybody who's listening, we discussed like the power and everything, and everybody wants to go green, quote unquote, and non-polluting and all that. And
Hmm.
nuclear is going to be your best option because it's clean burning and it's going to actually um provide enough power.
Right.
So yeah, now all these manufacturing facilities need to be powered in addition to the data centers. So this is very, very complex. It's
It
no
is.
one wide brush stroke that's going to fix this.
I actually saw this week. I fell for a dupe or a fake meme. It suggested that China's building data centers underwater to help control the heat and keep it cool. And it had a
Hmm.
picture of one that was underwater, and I thought, oh, that's really neat. And then I was took me like about 30 seconds before I realized, oh, I'm being had. That's not happening.
Hmm.
That didn't happen.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. It takes a while to get those memes
a deep fake.
under control.
Yeah, well,
Always.
yeah, we fall for them too. We fall for them
Exactly.
too. So next bullet point though is hopefully we have some kind of global alignment, which is the
Hmm.
next bullet point. Encourage allies to adopt complementary technology protection measures and export controls as well. I basically took that as, hey, do what we're doing so we can all be as safe as possible together.
Hmm. Yeah, this is basically a call to action to our allies. It's saying,
Hmm.
okay, who's with us essentially, and who's going to be, on our team, so to say. So that's kind of kind of what this is, and kind of goes back to everything else. This is, calling out China and
Hmm.
calling out people who want to ally themselves with China, and this pillar three, this is more of a diplomatic. And we kind of, knew
Yeah.
this going in. There was going to be more diplomacy than talking about actual AI.
Hmm.
But this is basically what it is. Like this whole pillar is basically calling out our allies, calling out China.
Right.
Let's just be realistic. There's no two
Yeah.
ways about it.
I mean, there isn't any, and it seems like we're saying at this point. I almost feel like we're a broken record because we're referencing
Yeah.
things from other pillars. We're saying the same
Hmm.
thing over and over again, and at least the last two bullet points seem
Hmm.
to be a little more specific in terms of things. So
Yes.
maybe provide a little more engaging of a conversation. But like the
Yes.
second to last bullet point that we have here is evaluate national security risks. Be at the
Yes.
forefront of evaluating national security risks posed by frontier AI models, particularly in areas like cyber attacks. And
Yes,
yes,
this is a little less you with China or you with us type thing. This is
yeah,
actually actually is a concern now. I think we've gone over like how we can use deepfakes for AI and everything.
correct.
Now there's possible AI cyber attacks that could, you know, possibly read your firewall. There could be
Yeah.
like an actual AI program that could analyze your firewall, essentially. Not trying to give anybody ideas, not that, that idea isn't already pretty widely known in the cyber attack field or, cybercrime field or what have you. But yeah, like it's going to evolve cybercrime essentially,
Yeah.
and as cybercrime evolves, our defense against those crimes have to evolve as well.
Yeah. And the accountability if it's a domestic one. I actually, I'm not sure if it'll happen via a cyber attack or if,
Hmm.
from another country, or will it be something that accidentally happened from within our domestic reach?
Hmm.
I feel like when they say evaluate national security risks, I think both are on the table. You need to evaluate the tools we have in the United States. Is it possible that they accidentally do something? I'm always afraid that we're not doing this enough right now. I'm just glad to see it in the plan because I am very slightly concerned, not very concerned, but I am slightly concerned that it's going to take a massive AI event to happen to
Hmm.
force us to come up with policies to hold people accountable for the actions of AI. And I don't want it to get to that point. I want the stuff to be in place prior to, and I'm hopeful this bullet point begins to bring that to the forefront. And again, much like what we've talked about in pillars 1 and 2, this section was vague.
Hmm.
So there are still a lot of specifics I would like to see, such as who is accountable for the action of the AI should it do something wrong. Was it the person who did the prompt? Was it the person who did the attack on it? Is it the company that made it possible, didn't have enough checks and balances in place? I
Hmm.
don't think we have answers to those yet. And if we do, comment on social media and let us know. If you're a listener and you know the answer to that kind of stuff, we'd love to hear from you.
No,
It's
definitely.
Yeah, we definitely want to hear from you if you know the answer to that because I'm curious myself. I don't think there's court cases that have answered this question for us, but the accountability measure with a accidental domestic issue with AI is a little concerning to me.
Yeah, that's kind of something you have to worry about too, because we like to talk about like terrorist organizations and what have you, and then we like
Yeah.
to talk about the lone wolf attacks,
Hmm.
where there's a terrorist group often whatever section of the world, and somebody who's mentally disturbed and is looking for a reason to do something bad decides that they're going to align their thoughts with them and then just go do something on their own. And it's really hard to identify those types of things.
Hmm.
But you can even have, one person in your basement, in their basement or what have you, and they could be, planning an AI attack
Hmm.
on their own and everything. And I think we've kind of touched base with some good things where it'll enable people, small teams to do enough work as big teams, so to
Hmm.
say, on like making, movies, video games, etc. The same can be said as a national security risk, like two or three hackers can use AI and the same amount of work as a large group of hackers
Yep.
as well. So that's kind of where I see the national security risk come in. I don't have a doubt that a lot of the people working in these positions are trying to figure this out hand over fist
Yeah.
already.
I
So,
sincerely hope so. I mean, I know we haven't discussed it in too much detail with agentic AI or agents, which is the new buzzword with AI. Well, it's not really a new buzzword, but it's certainly picking up in frequency. What happens when a person does do assign an agent something, and then that agent screws something up because of what it did, its actions on the internet, like that. That type of thing bothers me too, because I think it is possible. Because AI sometimes does run on its own, and if you don't prompt well, and sometimes you do prompt well, and guess what? You still get an answer that you're going, "What the heck was that? Like, that wasn't what
mm,
I asked you to do." And
exactly.
something like that can happen, and uh, it's some scary stuff out there, but also it's good that we're considering the checks. How can we check to make sure that this does not happen? So,
Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
should we segue into the final bullet, please? Let's see.
Yeah, biosecurity. Now,
Biosecurity with AI.
this one's a little complex, and I will say
Yeah.
we've been critical prior to it of everything being vague, but this one actually
Yep.
does kind of give a little bit of thought here. Biosecurity, implement a multi-tiered approach to screen for malicious use of AI in biology while still enabling innovation. So this one kind of snuck in there as
Yes.
something that's actually thought-provoking.
And
And I know we've been sort of talking about how vague this has been,
correct.
the
Yes.
whole
This
thing,
is
but this
much more
bullet, the final bullet
specific.
point, this final bullet point, I actually like. I'm gonna tell you exactly why. So, it goes along, talk about malicious actors, et cetera, recommended policy actions. Now, this is one policy action from the data plan that actually gets very specific. Require all institutions receiving federal funding for scientific research to use nucleic acid synthesis tools and synthesis providers that have robust nucleic acid sequence screening and customer verification procedures. Create enforcement mechanisms for this requirement rather than relying on voluntary attestation. That is
So
a very interesting one here. So,
very
nu
specific.
yes, nucleic acid synthesis. I did do a little search on this. Nucleic acids like DNA, RNA synthesized through a process called polymerization. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Okay.
Individual nucleotide monomers are linked together by dehydration synthesis to form a long chain. Occurs naturally in living organisms and through chemical synthesis in a laboratory. We just got very technical with you, and we're trying to be layman's here. But what this is telling me is a lot of DNA and RNA replication. And using AI, to me, this almost sounds like they're trying to watch human cloning and making superhumans.
Wow.
This is like probably we saved the best one for last, and
Yeah.
this one definitely saved the best one for last because
I mean
this one.
the possibility of manipulating DNA, am I hearing that correctly?
Essentially, I believe that is. If anyone knows exactly what they're talking about, I
Yeah.
would love to have like a biologist
I,
explain this as far as AI is concerned.
I really
Because
do. Do we have our who's is our bio teacher from high school? Is she still working there
oh geez,
in high
I
school?
don't know. I'm not
Should we call
sure.
her? Like, I mean, I guess
Yeah,
I,
I'm not
I,
100% sure.
so do we think that with AI we can somehow structure a person's DNA so that they could be a little more superhuman?
Um, maybe.
And then,
I
like,
mean, I'm struggling to really like this is the one that got me. Like this bullet point right here is probably the most interesting part of this whole thing.
I loved when you read that part out loud. It
Hmm.
took me right back to when I read that. I thought in my mind, why weren't the other sections like this?
Yes.
Many of the vague ones, particularly
Hmm.
Pillar One, why were they not as in detail as this? That's a specific step. And what's funny is I don't think anybody disagrees with that step, but
Yeah.
it was a very specific step that was missing from a lot of the other pillars.
Yes, this one like this is the one thing that got me was like, okay, this is something very, very interesting here. But I'm trying to really see what this is because this almost seems like something was recommended to for this executive order right here. So
Hmm?
I mean, biosecurity, we haven't thought about that too much yet, or it could
No.
be which I think could be like an interesting thing, or could people use um AI to sort of use bioweapons? Could be another possibility, like
Okay. Yeah.
unseen bioweapons, because if they create some kind of gas that, you know, you won't be able to smell, you won't be able to taste it, but it can somehow alter your DNA. I mean, that sounds like some science
That's
fiction type
concerning.
stuff. That
It
does sound
does.
like,
But
and but I would like to see a few more of that, few more of those points in there. But like the biosecurity, that this is something that I haven't thought about. I don't think many people have thought about.
no, I will share with you that was not on my radar until I saw it in the plan. It
Hmm.
was just not there. And unfortunately, because it was the last section, I did breeze through it pretty quickly
Yeah.
at that
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
Uh,
Once you get to the end of
yeah,
a
it
like
was
document like this, it
it,
usually
it
tends to
was
happen.
yeah, it tends to happen. And it's I feel like that's the most human thing we might have said in this podcast. It's like when you get near
Yes.
the end, you're kind of, especially when Pillar Three's all reading the same. But I do recall when I was rereading some sections in preparation for tonight, I did remember thinking that was specific. Why couldn't other
Yes.
sections have some details like that?
Yeah, and no, the next bullet point, convene government and industry actors develop a mechanism to facilitate data sharing between nucleic acid synthesis providers to screen for potentially fraudulent or malicious customers. That kind of I think that kind of goes into what we were kind of making a point, like, cloning, superhuman DNA enhancements, anything like that,
Right.
which kind of, that could be concerning. Let's not like,
Well, then let me think of this.
go
Is there a
around
way
that.
to use the superhumans to our advantage?
Let's not discuss that in too
No, because
much
all I'm
depth
thinking
because,
is, can we get the best offensive line in the NFL by creating superhumans for
oh
the Cleveland
boy,
Browns?
oh,
For the love
oh
of
boy.
Pete, like,
Oh,
come on.
that's what you want to do. That's what you want to do.
Oh yeah, I'm
But
selfish.
but yeah, that would be kind of interesting. But yeah, this is something that definitely would actually almost require its own episode to see how they're using AI in biology.
Yeah, I'd like to dive
Essentially.
into that. I'd really like to explore that, whether I was using Perplexity or something along those lines. I'd like to dive into that. What can AI do for the biology standpoint? In terms
Yeah.
of like, and let's look at it from a research standpoint to an impact standpoint to a medical standpoint. Like, let's take
hmm
a, that's curious. Maybe that's an episode we have coming up. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, this is the most thought-provoking one. And I would think that, we would need to like dig into this one a little bit more. And obviously being as part of diplomacy also are other countries using this type of DNA altering possibility.
Hmm.
Because it could be an issue
Hmm.
um coming together. I'm uh trying to totally comprehend this.
Yeah.
I know I'm kind of like through this, but
Yeah, but
I'm not a
we're not
biologist.
biologists. Yeah, we're not.
Yeah.
And what the scary part, and not to scare anyone, but the realistic part is it does say biosecurity.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I mean I'm wondering if we know something that something's out there, people are working on this, and
mhm.
so we need to be ready for
Yeah.
something along those lines. And if you are one of those people in a foreign country working on this thing, feel free to reach out to us and just, let us know what you're up to. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm talk to the talk to the government first, but
Yeah, don't
um
announce it on our podcast, please.
that would be fine. But yeah, this is kind of a good point to go out on, I'd say.
Yeah,
I would like to see
but
more interesting points and everything like that. Um so anyway, conclusion, Pillar 3, diplomacy and security. What are your takeaways, Adam?
the big takeaways were obviously competing with China. Like I said earlier, we got the space race because it's basically the space race, except now it's the AI race.
hmm
And it is going to be very important to win. And there are components that tied in from pillars 1 and 2 that have already been brought up to help keep us at the forefront of the AI race. And
Yeah.
I am glad that things are being discussed. Like I know we're talking about like creating a superhuman or something along those lines or
Yeah.
altering DNA, but I am glad that there are things in the plan there. And overall, it's just a plan. The execution of the plan is needs to be done by the government or by the United States, and it's not going to take one presidency. We know this.
Yeah.
It's going to take multiple years to get this stuff going. But this is pretty important, and I don't think we can afford to drop the ball on this. Overall, I thought it was a plan that addressed some things. I would have liked to have seen more specifics overall, though. But was it a bad plan? No, no, I don't think so at all. Is it a great plan? I don't think so.
No. No.
But time will tell. We won't know the answer to this till 20 years from now. Whether or not this was a good plan or a bad plan, or if it needs to pivot, we won't know.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Brian?
I think kind of two things. Obvious Chinese rivalry undertones. I think
Hmm.
that's kind of echoes through each pillar and everything. So that's kind of sort of an undertone thing that really doesn't need to be talked about too much, but um not many specifics. I don't
Hmm.
really think there's a whole lot of meat and potatoes on this whole thing. And any kind of real, content or anything of substance. Um, that's pretty much already been discussed, already been in motion, essentially. This is more of cheering it along, obviously, which I wouldn't say is the worst thing in the world, but
Hmm.
yeah, it's nothing, nothing mind-bending, I would say. The only thing that really piqued my curiosity was that last point, was the
Yeah.
biosecurity and where they got really specific in one of their policy actions, which was something that was very interesting. I would have liked them to see kind of lay that out a little more detail. I would have liked to see all the other policy actions laid out in more detail.
Right. Uh,
But maybe this will require, you know, multiple orders essentially.
hmm I agree. I think, and then again, back to time will tell. And it's a shame we're ending on Pillar Three because Pillars One and Two had a lot more action-packed things, and this one was a little more
Yeah,
direct, us versus China and national security measures, and
yeah.
biosecurity obviously tied into that.
Yeah, definitely. I would have liked to see Pillar 3 a little bit more of the national security risks and the biosecurity and more things like that. Because, diplomacy and security is kind of a big thing, and I would have liked to see a
hmm
little bit more of that way. But yeah, essentially, I think this about wraps up part three, would you say?
I would say it does, and
Yeah.
we hit our marks. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about what we needed to talk about. So,
Exactly.
next week we'll have a new edition.
Yes.
Maybe a new. I don't know if we'll do a new series or not, but we'll definitely have a new episode. And
Yeah.
we'll be taking a break from the political stuff.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, this is part three of America's AI Action Plan. We
hmm
hope you all enjoyed listening to all three parts. If you're just tuning in for part three, do check out parts one and two. We'd
hmm
recommend going through it because this was a three-part series. And I'd like to also thank everybody for listening to the podcast tonight. My name is Brian,
And I am Adam.
and we'll see you next time on the Layman's AI.